Welcome into the Bears Squad Show here on the Locked On Bears YouTube channel. I am Joe George, post-game host, and man, the Bears' magical season ends with an absolute heartbreaking loss, and the season is over.
I'm Adam Sager. Defense plays their butts off, but the offense just can't do enough.
And I'm Lauren Cox from Locked On Bears. And this even in a loss, this proved to me the Bears were always a real contender that can go toe-to-toe with the best teams in the NFC.
Bear down, Chicago. It's the Bears Squad. Everything Chicago Bears, every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Windy City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From Soldier Field to the next great chapter, the Bears Squad Show starts now.
Welcome into the Bears Squad Show here on the Locked On Bears YouTube channel and audio platforms. Joe, Adam, and Lauren here with you as we recap the end of the Chicago Bears season. It ends in a brutal loss in overtime. You're right there, have a chance to advance the NFC title game to face the Seattle Seahawks with potentially Jared Stidham waiting for you on the other side in the Super Bowl. Instead, it ends to the Rams, to Sean McVay. Lauren, we'll just start with you. Just how you feeling right now that the Bears season's over?
Yeah, I'm pretty quick to jump to like big season reflection of like this divisional game, right, was so much fun, and what a game, and I just feel like kind of just happy to be here more than like, oh man, like I don't know that any of us saw the Bears really being truly an NFC Championship game team, at least for most of the season. I mean, it became more realistic on the stretch. So now I'm like, wow, what a fun game that you went toe-to-toe with the team that I think is probably going to go to the playoffs or go to the Super Bowl from the NFC, and you were right there. Like, this game proved a lot about how good this team actually was, even though you lost.
Adam, you're muted. We can't hear you.
There we go. All right. Yeah, frustrating how the game ended, but they played well. Defense actually showed up and was really, really good today. Caleb in the offense, those fourth downs just killed them all game long. They just couldn't pick up those short yardage that we've seen them pick up so many times throughout the season. And I don't have a problem with Ben's calls going for him because that's what he's done all year long. And you stick to who you are. And it just didn't work out this time. And I know we're going to talk about that interception in overtime. But, man, if what really happened that I think happened, there's a lot to be thought about in this offseason about one particular player.
Yeah, it's a disappointing end of the season, right? Like you've got this game, you have a chance to, which we'll get to, like, should you have gone for two to not go to overtime and just to either win or lose this thing? Like, your defense has played the best football it's played the last 6 quarters. It's played the entire season. Like competition, like Jordan Love and the Packers for a half, this game versus the Rams, like your defense is playing the best it's played. I think you hit it there a little bit too, Adam, like the fourth down stuff. They showed the graphic, lowest fourth down percentage conversion since the 1990 Bears in the playoffs, ironically. Like, they just didn't get it done in the critical situations in this game, and they have in the season before. So it's disappointing. Like, and Lauren, I agree with you too. Like, from a big picture, like, if you want to think ahead, like, it still feels good where the Bears are at. It sucks in this moment, though, because you should have won this football game, I think. I think the Bears should have won this game, and it's disappointing that they didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a bunch of things going back to this game that you can second guess and say, well, if that would have gone differently or that would have gone differently. And I think that the thing I come away with bigger picture from that is, like, it didn't necessarily strike me as like one specific thing or like one recurring thing. Even like, yes, you can point to some play calls by Ben Johnson that maybe you would have liked different. You could point to sometimes when the blocking just wasn't where it needed to be, or you can point sometimes when Caleb just wasn't where it needed to be, right? It would be more frustrating if it was just like over and over again the same thing went wrong and you just couldn't find a way to overcome that thing. But at least you can kind of feel like, well, yeah, any of these 10 things you could have done differently, and it's sort of just like the natural ebbs and flows of a game. Like, some stuff is going to go wrong, and that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, as opposed to, wow, this was such a preventable loss because they just couldn't figure out a way to do X, Y, or Z. Like, or even in the same short yardage troubles, like, it was a little bit something different each time.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that, they continued to go to the run on that 4th and 1 that they had so many times. And, credit to the Rams, they stepped up and made plays. But yeah, Lauren's right. It was a full day of miscues from everybody throughout the game today. I mean, how many drops did the receiving core have, and hell, even an offensive lineman had a drop today. So I mean, it's just one of those days where they couldn't find the ball and get it in their hands enough. And then defensively, it just felt like, even in the Packers game, the bounce that was going the Bears' way all year long just went away from them these past 2 games. I mean, how many balls were tipped up in the air and the Bears were just a step too slow to get the interception? I mean, it was just one of those games again that they couldn't get that turnover and take advantage of it like they have so often this season.
Yeah, how many near turnovers were there? I mean, it just felt like over and over again. Stafford gave you a shot at it. And I mean, to be fair, Caleb had a couple near turnovers that weren't turnovers, but the Rams got more of the turnover luck in general. Like 3 of those end up going their way, and not all of them are horrible throws by Caleb Williams by any means, but it's how the result is the result. And, you know, you can't all pin it on one person, but at the end of the day, the offense as a whole, not good enough. In a game where your defense allows 17 points in regulation, you should win that 99 times out of 100. That's a winning defense performance. Your offense needs to be able to score more than 20 to win a game.
All right, let's talk about that interception there in overtime, because that's the play it feels like is going to get the most attention from Bears fans, media, the team, everything this season. Like we'll get to the great play to Cole Kmet, but like the end interception there, DJ Moore, it's clear as day to me. Like you see him running over the middle and he stops running and he starts jogging, and whether he thinks he's just out of the play or, I don't know, gives up on it. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe we'll never find out. But in that moment, like, Caleb clearly thinks the ball is supposed to go to DJ, and DJ does not feel the same way, Lauren. And it's a bad play that I don't want to put on Caleb Williams. Like, it's on his box score, but it doesn't feel like – it doesn't mean it doesn't end up in the same result if DJ Moore runs the whole time. But it still feels like more like DJ on that play than Caleb in the moment.
Yeah, I'm hesitant on this play because it's easy to have just watched it live once and maybe seen a replay and throw DJ Moore completely under the bus. And I'm pretty sure that's the right response, but I really do want to be able to go back and see the all 22 angle just to see like what angle was DJ Moore breaking at, because I have a feeling when we have a chance to rewatch it, like it will be both things will be true at the same time. That one, DJ Moore did not run his route hard enough and did not run all the way through to the end of the whistle for sure, but also maybe Caleb also put it in not a great spot for him either. Like, I think there can be shared blame there that I don't want to put like 100% on Moore, certainly not 100% on Caleb either, but I don't have a good view of it to say for sure, like what the split is there, like 60-40 DJ or whatever it might be. I don't know yet.
Yeah. I'm probably more like 75-25 right now, DJ. Cause I mean, we've seen multiple times this year, him coming across the middle and that throw, and he's just kind of, in his little jog that he's in, and it gets picked off. It's happened before with him this season, and multiple times where he's not going hard and the ball's coming his way, and it turns bad for the offense too many times. And that's where I think Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles are going to have to sit down and really discuss the future of DJ Moore in this Bears uniform.
Yeah, it's not one that like I don't think many people are gonna have like a level-headed reaction to it. Like watching now, even when they rewatch it, like it's gonna be the kind of the play that haunts the offseason. I think in a way, like there's so much good that like it'll probably get overshadowed eventually, but at least in the moment. What about Lauren? Just the decision-making process there from Ben Johnson to throw the ball down the field in that moment when you've already got the Lions off the field, and if you kick a field goal, you win. Like you're 15 yards from field goal range probably at that point. So what's your thoughts on, like, is that just the wrong play call and all of it? Like whether it's Caleb throwing it downfield or Ben Johnson calling for it, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to go back and confirm it was 2nd and 8. I pulled up the play there from the 48-yard line. So, I mean, I don't hate the idea of throwing downfield there. And if it's open, he hits him, you're in field goal range, and that's the game-winning throw right there. But I don't know that the process was a bad process there. I mean, if I remember the play correctly, I think towards the top of the screen, I think it was Kmet, one of the tight ends was breaking towards the outside that was open but short of the sticks. I mean, it's really easy to play armchair quarterback at home and say, oh, why didn't you look here? Like he thinks DJ Moore is open and he's throwing to a spot that he thinks his wide receiver is going to be at. If any criticism of Caleb on that play, it's not the decision, it's the ball placement, right? It's the accuracy of where specifically he put it, but not the decision to throw it to Moore because he's expecting Moore to get to a certain spot. Now, maybe he put it at a different spot than Moore could get to, but still, I think an accurate ball to a receiver that is running through the end of that route certainly isn't an interception and is probably a reception or at least a catchable pass.
Yeah, I don't mind the play call. I don't mind, going down the field. You're trying to win the game, and if you see it on 2nd and 6, that's your play to push the ball down the field and try and get into field goal range right then and there. And then if you don't get it, it's incomplete. You come back 3rd and 6, and you're just trying to pick up 7 basically in that scenario. So I think I think the play call was fine there, and I think the decision from Caleb to go to that deep shot that's worked so often this season, it just didn't happen. And Cam Curl made a great play on the ball, diving and keeping that ball off the ground as he rolled. So great play by him, and just tough break for the Bears there.
Yeah, Lauren, this doesn't feel like a game in which it's clear to say, like, I know last week we asked the question, did the Bears win? Did the Packers lose that game? I think this week's kind of similar, where I don't think there's a clear, like, it's the Bears' fault they didn't win. It's the Rams' reason why they won. Like, it feels like it was just a good football game today. And unfortunately, the better team came up on top, and it wasn't the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, it feels a little bit like the Bears definitely did plenty of beating themselves. I wouldn't say like, oh, the Rams did nothing and the Bears absolutely just beat themselves. But like, man, you think about 6 or so drop passes in this game that if Robinhood catches that first touchdown, the whole game is completely different, right? And you think about some penalties here and there that absolutely undid some momentum on both sides of the ball. I think about plenty of missed throws from Caleb Williams too. I mean, he deserves some blame in here, and even some of the passes that weren't intercepted were worse than some of the passes that were intercepted. Like there's so many different things that feel a little bit more like Bears did it wrong than the Rams doing it well, and especially with how well this defense played for much of this game. Like it felt to me like the Bears were, I don't want to say they were the better team, but I think they played more consistently throughout this game than the Rams did. Like this was right in the Bears' hands to take, and then the Rams made more plays down the stretch when they needed to. But over the course of 4 quarters, I felt pretty good about how Chicago was playing in this one.
Yeah, I look at this game and I can't believe I'm about to say this sentence in this game, but the best unit on the field all game was the Bears defense. Outside of those 2 drives, I mean, they were dominant. I mean, they shut down Puka. They shut down Devontae for the most part. I mean, they did fine in the run game. So, I mean, that Bears defensive unit gave you the game to send you to the NFC Championship. And the offense, if it's, everything that Lauren just said with the drop balls, the missed passes, the missed blocking assignments, couple run plays I thought could have picked up more yards, and they break it in instead of out. It's just all those little things that the offense didn't do today that now has the Bears going home. And while you want to say it was a very successful season, because it was, it's frustrating because of how it ends here with a chance, the ball in Caleb's hands in overtime in Rams territory to go win the game, and to lose that game really hurts.
Yeah, I mean, especially like the way you got there, which like we can hit on now. We'll hit on the Ben Johnson decision-making stuff. Let's hit on one positive thing in the first segment. Like the throw to Cole Kmet makes no sense. Like in pretty much any way, shape, or form. Like he's drifting backwards, and your offensive line gets beat like a drum on that play, and he just throws it up, and Cole Kmet's there for a touchdown, and it's one of the most miraculous plays we've seen of Caleb Williams' season, and he's made a million of them, it feels like, at this point, Lauren.
I thought that was more, I mean, I guess that was more impressive even than the one against the Packers on 4th and 8. And at first I was like hesitant. I was like, no, this was for a touchdown that tied the game. It should be more impressive. But like when that ball left his hands, like it felt even more hopeless than the 4th and 8 one against the Packers. Like when he was rolling to his left, like it looked like literally he's just throwing up a jump ball, like Hail Mary. I'm just putting this as high as I can somewhere in the vicinity of my players so that someone comes out with it. And the fact that Cole Kmet was able to get so open at the end, and like that I was expecting there'd be 4 Rams and maybe 2 Bears receivers in that area. And yet it was just like, oh, no, right there. Easy Cole Kmet. Like felt like an easy Cole Kmet catch. I don't know if it's recency bias, but I reacted so much more to that throw than the other 2. Like I in my own house, like yelled some profanities of like, how the heck did that? Like, and I didn't get that strong into it. Like the other ones were just like, wow, that was like, holy bleep. There's just like, there's no way that throw is, I put on Twitter, like Caleb said 3 throws this season that would be the career best throws for most quarterbacks in the NFL. And he's done it 3 times this year. It's insane.
I mean, Joe, you texted me and I didn't even know what to say in the moment. Like I literally, when he threw it and just kind of fell backwards and threw it, I stood up out of my chair and I just turned and walked towards the desk and because I'm in the same room, and I just had my back turned and I kind of peeked over my shoulder just to see, and then it lands and when my son yells, he caught it, and I'm just like, I couldn't believe. I was stunned. I was stunned silent with that play. The fact that, I mean, he dropped all the way back to the 40, faded away, and threw the ball 47 yards perfectly to Cole Kmet, who just made the little adjustment. And miraculously, I thought he pushed off the way Durant fell off of him. And then they showed the replay. It's kind of like he flopped instead of trying to play the ball. Like, oh, let me try and get the penalty here. So, I mean, what a throw. Yeah, it's every week we kind of be like, did you see this throw? Did you see? And now we got this. Like, I mean, if he can, him and Ben work this offseason and work to just get the easy stuff down, just complete those balls. And it comes with the receivers too, catching the ball, because a lot of drop problems this year. I mean, imagine what he can do at 65% completion percentage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, did either of you guys hear that somebody posted Kevin Harlan's radio call on Sirius NFL touchdown?
No.
And I mean, he goes nuts. And in the very end, he says something along the lines of like, if you didn't see that throw, you're not going to believe it. Like,
yeah,
whatever you're hearing me say, like, you will not believe this throw. If you did not see this throw, you will not believe it. Like, it's just, it's insane. There's no words.
And it's just the fact that it's every week. We come around saying like, holy crap, like you said, he's got 3 throws that are career best throws for any other quarterback in the league right now. I mean, nobody else does these things. Besides maybe Mahomes a few years ago. He can't make those plays anymore. Josh Allen makes plays with his feet and, you know, making some weird throws. But, I mean, even him stepping back like that, he can make the throw. But, I mean, to be able to move back that fast and stop yourself and then throw it, I don't think he can even do that.
All right, let's talk about the decision right after that touchdown throw to Cole Kmet, because I think that's going to be one, too. That's going to be a hot button topic for Bears fans, how you were feeling in the moment about what the Bears should do in retrospect, what you should have done. We'll get to that next here on the Bears Squad Show. Today's episode of the Bears Squad Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with PrizePicks, it's always good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down, and PrizePicks lets you stay in control. PrizePicks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build your lineups based on player projections, no drafts, no waiting, just pick more or less and pay your way. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, so Lauren, in the moment, how you feel now? Should Ben Johnson have gone for 2?
I think in the moment I was good with the decision because they struggled so much in short yardage situations. So in that game, especially running, but even like they hadn't really passed a ton, but they weren't having a ton of success there. And I think we kind of saw on that 4th down play where it was broken up at the very end there, that 4th down in overtime, like that, or was that at the end of regulation? Anyway, the one that Luther Burden that was broken up at the goal line, like that to me kind of reaffirmed the decision of like, hey, yeah, you're probably good to kick the extra point there, because for whatever reason, they just weren't connecting in those situations. And your defense was playing well enough that I kind of felt like, well, you're probably going to be able to get a stop on Matthew Stafford and or a turnover. And they did on the first drive overtime. So as far as I'm concerned, like that ended up sort of paying itself off, right? It's like he was rewarded. That proved to be the right decision because he did still get the ball in his offense's hands in overtime with a chance to drive down and win.
Yeah, I was in the moment. I was just kick the extra point, especially coming off that crazy play. Everybody's going nuts. It's hard to get everybody calmed down to then come run a 2-point play. Even if you call a timeout, you still got to settle everything down. So I think it was the right call. Part of me wants to say, like, just feed off what just happened and go for it. And, analytics be damned. Just, take your shot now at home in front of your home crowd. Go for the jugular and get the win there. So I'm kind of like back and forth. I think I see it in both ways. I don't think I'm like 100% he should have kicked it. If he would have went for it, I would have said you're feeding off what just happened. So I think I'm good either way. And like Lauren said, they got the ball with a chance to win, and it just, it didn't happen tonight.
I like that people were spending a lot of the game complaining about how much he's going for it on fourth down. And then they're complaining about, well, why didn't you go for it? Like, you should kick. And then at the end, it's like, well, why did you kick? And it's like, well, wait a minute. You can't have your cake and eat it too there.
Right.
I thought he was going to go for it. Like, I was shocked when, honestly, Kairos came out. Like, I was like, oh, he's going to go for 2 and win this football game right now or lose it. Like, that's Ben Johnson's going to be the way he lives and dies by all these decisions. And he didn't. And I'm with you guys. Like, I think the way your defense is playing, he made the right decision. It literally worked out exactly how you wanted to do. You choose to kick off the ball to start overtime. You stop the Rams. You're moving the ball down the field. And as we discussed, whether it's DJ Moore stopping or Caleb bad throw or a combination of both, you throw an interception and then your defense gives way to the Rams offense and you lose and you're out of the playoffs. But I think in the moment it was the right decision. Now, Lauren, you mentioned it. All the other going for and fourth downs. It feels like it's been the conversation of Ben Johnson for 2 games now. Like, that's all we've talked about is in these games is, are they going for it at the right time? Are they going for it too much? Like, how do you feel about the fourth down plan tonight against the Rams when your defense is playing well? Because it's very different than last week.
Yeah, I do think there's 2 separate conversations here of like, was it a good idea to go for fourth down in those situations? And was the play call he chose in those fourth downs a good play call? And I'm more willing to complain about the play call decisions there in terms of kind of just pounding up the middle over and over again without having much success doing so. But generally, I was good with the instances of going for it there, right? You want to give your defense more of a break and keep Matthew Stafford off of the field. You want to trust your guys and follow your momentum. And it was like, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, 4th and 1. These were not 4th and, medium or even long situations that they could kind of, that you might say, oh, that's a tough fourth down to get. Like, you should be able to trust your offense to get 2 or 3 yards in those situations and know that the Rams were going to be in great field position either way. So like, it's easy for people to say, oh, what a bad idea when he doesn't get it. And it's easy to say, oh, well, it's a great idea when he does get it. He should go for it on the ones that he gets it, and he shouldn't go for it on the ones that he doesn't get it. Like, that's not how that works. But I think he took the right approaches to saying, let's go for it in those situations. And maybe I'd go for different play calls in some of those, but the idea behind it was I think sound.
I know early in the game on that first drive, and in everybody's head is the Rams are going to score on you, and they're going to score a lot. So I get going for it early, but I'm always a fan of putting points on the board. First drive of the game just kind of sets a little bit of a tone. But to go out there, drive it down the field, get to the 4th, and I think it was 3 or 4 at this point, and Caleb tries to throw the slant, and someone's in his face, and he hits his hand on the hand that's coming up, throws it high and gets picked. That was one I was, talking to my sons, and I'm just like, I would kick the field goal. Just put points on the board. At least you're showing, okay, we move the ball too. We're going to put up some points. And then you come away with nothing. Then they go right down and score. And then you're kind of just like, ugh, now it's 7-0. Yes, they did come back and score that next drive, but it's just, I think that putting points on the board first drive of the game is important in the NFL.
Yeah, I think too, like when going forward on fourth down, like your concern is like you're never going to stop them. And like as you said, they just drove right down the field. Another interception that benefited the Bears potentially. Like, I mean, it didn't because they scored. But like that's 2 weeks in a row where a Packers player and a Rams player now probably should have dropped the interception and instead of hurt their team a little bit. Didn't matter for the Rams this week, but they moved right down there. I think it's just, again, like we've talked about this earlier in the season, just who Ben Johnson is. Like, he's just going to be overly aggressive, and I think we just have to kind of get used to it. And as long as you stick with it and, like, that's who you are, I'm good with it. Like, you can't waver. Like, I think that's, like, we see that with other coaches, where, like the old Chargers coach, the one that just got fired before Harbaugh. Like, when he first took over the job, he was constantly going for it on fourth down. He got crushed for it, and the next season he started kind of wavering, and like it's something he would be more analytical and more gut, and like where Ben Johnson's just like go. So I don't have complaints about the fourth down. Lauren, I think you hit it though. I think a lot of the play calling on fourth down, especially when you realize you couldn't run it at all, like whether it's short yardage situations in the goal on the goal line or in the fourth and short situations, they couldn't run the ball effectively in this game.
Yeah, no, that was maybe if we're trying to like pin down the biggest concerns from this game, I think that inability to run the ball, and especially in those short yardage situations, is probably like the biggest slice of the pie. I mean, it's still not more than 50% of the pie by any means, but like if I had to like power rank the things I was most concerned about in this game, like that one kind of is probably at the top, just in terms of like it's been a strength for you all season. And even when you're running on the right side of that offensive line, like that's the side that's still intact. Like I could grant you an excuse for the Joe Tooney, Jordan McFadden side, and I didn't think they were particularly bad, but like at least, you know, new players there, new positions, they're trying to kind of work on their chemistry and stuff. But like when you just keep running right over and over again, I think the Rams are teeing off on it and slanting to that side, and it just makes life that much more difficult. And it's like, well, some of that then comes down to Ben Johnson play calling, not mixing up the concepts enough. Some of it comes down to, I'm sure, linemen individually need to play better and block better and just not let the Rams get such pad level and leverage on them. But that was the more confounding thing there, that they still ran the ball generally well over the course of the game, but when you needed it most, they couldn't get it. And I don't know how much to split that blame between play caller and players.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, of course, we knew they were running to the right because Chris Collinsworth told us for 2 straight quarters that they were running right. He never shut up about it. But it seemed like they were having some success on the edge, off tackle, with those pitches they like to do, that straight back pitch and then go. And they were having some good success with that, I think, especially with DeAndre Swift. But you know, you got to be able to run up the middle a little bit. And tonight they just weren't. What Monangai didn't even have 3 yards per carry. I mean, it was a rough go for the most part for him. And in this running game overall, I really wish, I don't want it a lot, but I want them to be able to show Caleb as a runner, just even if it's just a read option, if it's, you know, doing something, because his feet are dangerous. They are a weapon. And I don't feel like they were utilized as much as they could have been in this game, because I think that it was open. The middle of the field was open. I thought he could use his legs to pick up some first downs just in some certain moments, but they chose to just run the ball straight ahead, and just like they've done all year. So I can't get too mad about it, but it did struggle down the stretch of the season, and it continued tonight.
Yeah, and like they were just too predictable. Like in the run game, like it was just like you just said, Collinsworth kept telling us they're running to the right, and they did. And then they would occasionally go to the left, and I'm curious what Ben Johnson's reasoning for that was, because then they also on TV kept showing, you know, how good the left guard was doing on all these blocking plays. But like, I think some of it was blind, you know, kind of backside. Like, is it really the same as what you're trying to do if you're running to the left? I don't know, but it just felt too predictable with the offense at times. And you know, Lauren, I think you mentioned it in the first segment. Ultimately, like, it's also hard not to play in this game a little bit on Rome Odunze. Like that touchdown drop on the first drive, it's right there, man. Like, and he had other drops in this game. Like, you want to be the number one guy on this team. He drops the ball way too much. We've talked about it all season, but in that moment, it's right there for him, for the Bears to take the lead. And instead, it starts to be what in this conversation we're in now about going for a fourth down when he should have just caught that touchdown.
Yeah, I was keeping tabs of drops when they started happening in this game, and like, man, Odunze had 2 or 3. Colston Loveland had, I think, 2 different plays in this game. DJ Moore had one towards the end there that was right at the beginning of the second half where he kind of gets hit but just can't hold on to the ball through that contact there. But when they hit Rome Odunze in the hands over and over again, that's the really hard part to swallow. I can live with it's a tough contested catch and there's a guy draped all over you, and those are hard to bring in. But when the ball clearly gets to you well before anybody else gets there, that's a problem. And I can't help but wonder, to circle this back to the DJ Moore conversation, like, does that leave a little bit more doubt of like, hey, maybe you want to hold on to DJ Moore just 100% because all of a sudden Odunze doesn't look like a number 1 wide receiver right now. Like Luther Burden looks to be your best wide receiver. So then if Odunze is good but not great, then is Burden and Odunze and Ja'Day Walker, I mean, is that enough at wide receiver? Or all of a sudden is it like, well, maybe you hold on to DJ Moore a little bit longer until you really feel like either something breaks or you need a bunch of cap space for some reason or whatever it might be. But like, I'm in less of a hurry to reduce the talent at wide receiver, given that Odunze seems to have some kind of yips going on right now.
Yeah, I am 100% with you on that. And I know I talked about, the discussion that needs to happen. And I think that will happen. But yes, with Odunze, man, coming out of college, that was supposed to be his thing, was contested catches. And he's terrible at it so far in his, 2 years in the NFL. And I know he dealt with some injuries, but man, it felt like he didn't even get his hands up to try and catch that ball in that first drive. So yeah, it was brutal. Loveland struggled catching the ball today. He went out with the injury, and that was kind of what else. Like, it felt like some guys were starting to get injured a little bit late in this game. Like DJ Moore was banged up. We saw, wouldn't surprise me if he was concussed and still went back out there. I think Loveland was concussed because he came down on his head that last play and kind of stumbled off the field to keep the timeout. And so that was part of my reasoning for wanting to go for 2 as well, was you're starting to get banged up. Like, go for it now, and because you don't know what happens. But the drops were definitely an issue today. And even just fighting for the ball. We talk about that last interception, that play along the sideline that Durant almost picked off, because Rome's just standing there waiting for the ball instead of attacking the ball and, making yourself big to kind of box out anybody else. So it's frustrating that you hope that Rome Odunze can learn from it and grow from.
Kind of feels like that's going to be a hot button topic this offseason, Lauren, about like, do you trade Rome or do you trade DJ? Like, specifically in the context of a lot of people think that the Bears should trade one of them for like Max Crosby. And it's going to be like, who do you trust more on this team? I do think like it's pretty clear, like Burden's your dude. Like, again, in this game, to find some of the positives, even in a loss, is like when he would catch the ball, because he had his own drops too, he's making electric plays left and right. Like, it feels like he has separated himself this back half of the season as the Bears wide receiver 1 of the future. Him and Loveland and Rome and DJ have fallen behind into a bigger question mark category at this point.
His impact in this game felt bigger than 3 catches for 24 yards, in part because he had 7 targets in this game. But like, he squeezes the most out of every time he touches the ball in a way that no one else on the team quite matches to that extent. Colston Loveland has come close a few times, but like, he definitely disappeared down the stretch, largely injury based in this game. Still led the team with 56 receiving yards on 4 catches in this game. But like, it just felt like overall in the offense, right, they were missing just a little bit of something from the pass catchers there, not just with the drops, but in terms of like, they needed somebody to step up and make a big play. And Cole Kmet did in the end zone. I guess I'll give him that, but like, more like between the 20s, like they needed that player to just like create something on his own. And Burden did early in the game on that short little out route that he turned into a 12-yard gain somehow. But like, they needed like one more of those kind of plays down the stretch. They just couldn't quite get from anybody. And I think that's what Moore was supposed to give you on that last one, that interception play. Like, that was going to be it if he finished the play, and that season ends.
Well, and that's what's so frustrating about Moore. He makes that one-handed, he just sticks his hand up and it somehow bounces around and he catches it. But he makes those plays, and then there's all the times we talk about where he's not running hard, not finishing his route, and Caleb's throwing the ball, and he's thinking he's finishing his route, and he's not, and that's a problem. That's an issue that needs to be fixed, and you hope Antoine Randall and Ben Johnson can kind of get on him, because I'm with Lauren here that I think you got to keep both. I don't think you're going to trade either and you go with the 3 of them. And who knows about Zacchaeus? I think he'll be gone, but Ja'Day Walker can help, and you go get somebody else, a 5th wide receiver that can come in and at least, be something on offense if needed.
My whole thing with trading those guys is always like, there's no logic in getting rid of them for the sake of getting rid of them, right? Like, you're a better team when you have them on the field than not having them on the field. So you only get rid of them if you're clearly getting something that makes your team better. Like, I don't know that a draft pick, no. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's obviously a price, right? Yes, but I mean, trading him for just a combination of draft picks doesn't make your team better right now. Whereas, I'm only trading if I'm getting a pass rusher, right? Or it's towards getting something that does give me a net immediate benefit for my team, not a future asset that maybe you hope will come to become something more. Because then you're just subtracting for the sake of subtracting.
All right, let's take a break here. Let's talk about what we saw from the defense tonight. I to tease myself a little bit, tease ahead a little bit. I feel frustrated, that it took this long for the Bears defense to look as good as it did the last, 6 quarters of football of the season. So why did it look so different again tonight? We'll get to that next here on the Bears Squad Show.
This episode of the Bears Squad Show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. We're on to the conference championship games, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode, where every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, FanDuel is giving users a profit boost pack that's waiting for you inside the app. Each game day during the playoffs, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets you like most. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you were already going to make instead of forcing you to bet something new. So you make your picks, then apply your profit boosts to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs keep heating up. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
All right, so Lauren, let's all start with you on this one again. What do you think what would you say from the defense tonight? Like, why was it so much better? I mean, I feel like the people who want to be anti-Bears are going to point to weather and Matt Stafford's finger injury, but like it feels like they just collectively played their best brand of football in 4 quarters that they've played this entire season tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely point to like Matthew Stafford had a bad game also. Like 2 things can be true. The defense played really, really well, and Stafford just missed some throws badly in a way that was like one of the worst Matthew Stafford playoff games I think we've ever seen. So that they did benefit from some of that, but absolutely we saw a more aggressive approach from Dennis Allen in terms of blitzing early and often instead of kind of waiting a little bit more down the stretch. Not afraid to zone blitz a little bit more in this game, not a ton, but still more than we've seen. It's not just man coverage behind it and, Rams players outrunning Bears defensive backs, but I think also having CJ Gardner-Johnson and Kyler Gordon be involved in those blitzes as opposed to guys like Nick McLeod and others that have been rotating in that, like that makes a big difference too. When they did blitz, it was very effective. But sometimes the Rams just weren't picking it up well, and Jaquan Brisker comes off the edge unblocked and sacks Matthew Stafford. Like I think both things are true at the same time.
Yeah, I just look at this as the secondary looked healthier. Getting CJ Gardner-Johnson back just as depth, it makes it, and using Tyreek Stevenson instead of just letting him rot on the bench. You get guys some plays off. He comes in, he played hard. I mean, every single DB that played tonight, I thought played well. I mean, they were all over the field. They were hitting, they were tackling. They showed a ton of replays where Matt Stafford dropped back and nobody was open in man coverage. They were just blanketed, and the Bears almost got a couple takeaways from the blanket defense that they played tonight. And I still think, and maybe he's a guy that is part of this defense next year, but DeMarco Jackson flies around the field. He is a much more of a nuisance in the passing game than TJ Edwards could ever be, even healthy. So I think that helps make a difference, that you feel like you can blitz because you have a guy like Jackson who you trust on a tight end or in the slot just to at least do enough to let the blitz get home and cover a zone to keep the ball away from Puka. And they held Puka down. Who's done that? Nobody's held Puka down this year, it felt like. And they did well against him.
I think tonight's game, it's you don't want to have moral victories because your season's over in a way, but it does bring a sense of hope, I think, back for next season for the defense of okay, Kyler Gordon, he looked like he got healthy in a hurry. Jalen Johnson looks probably the best he's looked all season, still not 100%. You saw the impact of DeMarco Jackson, like you mentioned, Adam, your pass rush was getting to Matt Stafford in this game, multiple different guys, whether it's Robinson, Sweat, good pass deflection from Grady Jarrett, Byard plays well, Brisker plays phenomenal. It's it gives okay, if they're healthy, there might be something here, and maybe there's not as many questions about this defense going to the offseason. Or Lauren, is it you feel a little fool's gold potentially in the moment of what this defense actually is?
Yeah, I hope they don't take this one game and say, all right, pass rush is fine, because they sacked Matthew Stafford 4 times or whatever it was. And and don't get me wrong, I think we've seen tremendous improvement from Austin Booker this season for sure. I don't think that improvement has been all right, yep, he's your number 2 pass rusher. He and Sweat, you're good to go. Like, no, you still are going to need more on the edge there for sure. And like the interior is still a problem. Like we saw occasional Jervon Dexter and Grady Jarrett flashes, but like that's not a good enough interior pass rush. I mean, if anything, you have tough decisions to make at safety with Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker as free agents. I mean, Byard probably a little easier just decision than Brisker there. But like, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's a full blown panic. I just don't think it's anything that different than where we were a month or two ago, where it's like, yeah, secondary can be fine when they're healthy. They just haven't been healthy. And then the pass rush needs to be revamped. So I'm not overly like, I don't think a ton should have changed based on a really good game this time.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you here. And, kind of looking forward, you need that number. I mean, I think you need a number 1 pass rusher because Sweat is not a number 1. He's a number 2 that is a very good run defender. And then Austin Booker's a pass rush specialist, I think, for the most part. Can he give you some downs and first and second down or some short yardage plays? Sure. But he's more of, let me age myself a little bit, but like a Mark Anderson back in the day when he, that's all he did was rush the passer. So but I think a big thing you still need to is Andrew Billings is not good enough anymore. He's struggled this season mightily in the run game. Last year he was really good, but that was a different style defense. This one he wasn't. So I think, you're looking at it. You need a big nose tackle in there as well. We're going to see a lot of Caden McDonald from Ohio State mocked to the Bears come this draft season as we, start to look ahead. The Bears will pick 25th. So, I mean, defensive line needs to be the focus. Like offensive line was the focus last year. And then I think the other pieces can kind of fall into place.
Lauren, do you have that sense of frustration that I did in these last, 6 quarters in overtime football of just like Dennis Allen, like where are these adjustments we've been asking for all season? And he seems to have pivoted in a big way starting from halftime of the Packers game.
I didn't really take that as frustration. It was more like relief, like finally, just because it hadn't truly costed them up to this point, right? Like it was a problem, and sure, like it contributed to lost games, right? But like it didn't in the big picture, the defense struggling for a while didn't end up really costing them much at all. Like they were never going to, I don't think they're really ever going to get the number 1 overall seed. So they got the 2 seed anyway. They got to have a home game for both these games. Like if he had made these adjustments 3 weeks ago and they beat the 49ers or they beat the Lions and they're 13-win team in the regular season, then like, I don't think that much is actually different there. So like, it doesn't feel like it was too little too late because it wasn't too late. Like it was, I mean, you would have liked to not have to stress so much about, again, the Packer game, but they still won in spite of it. So it was like, all right, it didn't cost them totally then. And then it didn't cost them today because it obviously worked. And if anything, I don't know, is there something to be said about having not put very much of it on tape, so the Rams didn't have a lot of tape to prepare for and say, oh, this is how they play defense now. Like it was still newer for Stafford and McVay to kind of have to figure out on the fly, as opposed to like, oh, the last month of the season, they've become this different style of defense that now they would be prepared for, they would have a counterattack for, and then you'd have to adjust again. Like not to say that they didn't adjust on purpose, but just that there's an element of surprise here that I think was valuable.
Yeah, and I think it showed you, it gives you, some hope going into the offseason that, yeah, everybody's healthy going into next year, but you trust Dennis Allen. He's a veteran defensive coordinator that's done really good things in the past. You do trust him. You hope, okay, you saw your first year with these guys. Now you get to make the adjustments you want to make. I still don't like some of the signings from this past offseason when we're talking about Grady Jarrett and, let's not forget Dio Dangba, who's, been on IR for a while. Those 2 decisions, I think, will really haunt the Bears this offseason as they try to revamp this defensive line a little bit. Did you hear Chris Collinsworth say during the broadcast, like Dennis Allen got here and he was told they didn't have any money to spend on the defense because they were retooled the offense? Okay, I'm like, their 2 most expensive free agents were on the defense. All they did was spend money on the defense. They didn't spend money on the offense. It was all draft picks. I mean, they traded for Tooney, I guess, but like, God, I was yelling at my TV screen. What kind of spin was that? Ugh. That's Chris Collinsworth is a whole nother discussion that I don't want to get into right now because I will lose my mind. But yeah, I think it's a positive looking forward to a Dennis Allen defense that I think he'll get to, mold a little bit more to his liking with certain players. We'll see what he does with the Brisker Byard thing. in the back end. And then, does CJ Gardner-Johnson want to stay on as a, kind of a third safety, fourth corner slot guy and give you some really good depth and a good piece? Because remember when he signed, we're all like, how long will he be here? Like, will he be playing for the Bears, 4 weeks from now? And here he is in the divisional round. He played a really good game today.
Yeah, I was surprised he started the game, but then Kyler came in quickly. I want to hit on one play that, I don't know, Lauren. I don't know, because they did it last week too. It didn't make any sense.
Never heard an explanation. Still not an explanation for that. Like, is Kyler healthy enough to play and be out there and sack the quarterback or not? Because why he doesn't go the first couple drives beyond me. And same, like, we rotated Tyreek Stevenson again. I guess he's back and playing for Jalen Johnson sometimes, but not other times. Just, I don't have good, but hey, it worked. I'm not complaining. Defense did their job.
Okay, speaking of Tyreek Stevenson, it's hard to tell. Twitter's kind of a cesspool at times, right? It's hard to tell when people are looking at one play and everyone's overreacting, or people are spot on. But Adam, do you view Tyreek Stevenson ripping the ball from Davante Adams any differently than the play we saw last night in the Bills-Broncos game, where last night it's called an interception, tonight it's ruled a catch for Davante, and nothing changes? It seems like there seems to be some people that view it the exact same way as what happened last night versus what happened in this game.
Yeah, see, I have to really go back and watch it because I can't remember. I know the exact play, the end of it, but I can't remember exactly when Davante caught it and got hit. And, because that was like a jump ball yesterday in the Bills game. So it was coming down. If Davante caught it and took 2 steps, now he's got it. And once his knee hits, he's down. So I have to go back and watch it again, full speed and see what it looks like. In the moment, I'm like, yeah, that's the exact same thing. But I got to see what Davante did before I really talk about it.
Lauren, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I think Davante's felt. I mean, they're both. When you slow it down in slow motion, you can see whatever you want, really. But like, I wasn't that horribly upset by the call in this game. I mean, I think they probably both were catches that were down and not interceptions. But the AFC teams got away with it, and the Bears didn't get the benefit of it. But like, I didn't think, oh wow, Stevenson got screwed on that play. And if that play hadn't happened the night before, I don't think any of us would have thought twice. You see the replay, see his knee go down, and probably just assume, all right, that's a catch and that go down. We just have that doubt added because we just saw it called the other way, but I think they got it wrong in the other game and probably got it right in this one. And then Stevenson had a pass breakup like 3 plays later. So he played well at the end there.
Yeah, he's a weird one. He's going to be another interesting one over the offseason about how we talk about Tyreek Stevenson, because it feels like he fell out of favor, but I think this season was a major improvement from last year, but it seems like maybe the coaching staff didn't agree. Like that's going to be another interesting offseason discussion. And then there's going to be a ton of them, obviously. And I think it's going to be mostly focused on the defense and then the wide receivers we talked about, and maybe throw Cole Kmet in there. But there's a lot to get to. We'll get to that. As a quick note here before we go to break, these squad shows are not going to stop. We're going to be doing 2 squad shows a week throughout the entire offseason, all the way until the preseason starts. And then we're back on the normal routine. But we'll be talking all things Bears all offseason right here on the Locked On Bears YouTube channel and audio platforms. We'll get one more segment in tonight, our final thoughts on the game and the season. We'll do that next year on the Bears Squad Show. Today's episode of the Bears Squad Show is brought to you by Ultimate QB Football Legend. The draft picks positions are set, and so many teams are looking for their franchise quarterback. If you've ever wished about becoming a pro quarterback, getting drafted first overall by the Bears, well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number 1 draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness, to help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. This is the number 1 quarterback career mode game on the mobile app stores, and it introduces the most realistic environment with full career control. Sign contracts, train and upgrade yourself, build chemistry and involve your teammates, give input to your GM on roster moves, play the actual games in 2D, and rise the ranks to become a pro football legend. You'll deal with the ups and downs of a quarterback career, from rookie nerves to playoff drama, and every choice shapes your journey. Ultimate QB is totally free to play, has no ads, and works 100% offline, perfect for one to sneak in a game or 2 on the go. Just head over to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search Ultimate QB in your app store. And we've got something special just for you guys. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, all caps, in the game store to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB football legend, QB1, it's your legacy. All right, guys, final thoughts here, I guess, on the game, on the season. Lauren, anything from this game we missed that you want to hit on and kind of the disappointment of the way the season ended?
Not necessarily from this game, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the idea of, like, say, we don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but, like, hypothetically, Bears score that touchdown, go for 2 and win, or they win in overtime, whatever, and it's Bears Seahawks next week. In Seattle, like, how are you feeling about their chances watching Seattle just drub San Francisco, but San Francisco being banged up? Like, I could see a Bears Seahawks game going similar to San Francisco, where you turn it over 3 times, you have a couple turnovers on downs, and you get smoked. And I could also see the Bears put up a pretty good fight against that Seahawks defense, getting a couple turnovers off of Sam Darnold, and making it another 1-score game with 2 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter with the Super Bowl on the line.
It's hard to say because Sam Darnold, you just never know. Like, you just don't know. I mean, he could walk out there and throw 5 interceptions just as likely as he could throw 5 touchdowns. I mean, it's just what Sam Darnold shows up. I think the Bears could play with this Seattle team. I think they can make it interesting, especially if Caleb would have let them down there in overtime and they kicked the field goal to win. Seeing what the defense did tonight, there's nothing that scares me more so than Stafford and Nakua, Stafford and Adams. The Seattle doesn't scare me like that. And the Bears played these 3 guys plus the run game. They played pretty well with Corum and Kyron Williams. So, I mean, I definitely think they could have played with them. Now going to Seattle's a different, animal in itself, but I think it would have been at least an interesting game. And I mean, right now, looking ahead to Seattle, LA, I don't even know who I'd pick right now. LA has not played good offensively for 3 or 4 games, and they are not the same offense we saw not too long ago. So I think Seattle, Mike McDonald, can give this offense some fits.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, when he threw the touchdown, Caleb did to Cole Kmet, I was like, Bears are going to the Super Bowl. Like, it just felt like it felt like nothing was going to stop the magical run. You've had 2 games where now all the turnover luck you had for the regular season has vanished. And it's like, oh, that's going to come back at some point. And maybe it's next week versus Sam Darnold. Like, I think they could have won that game. And like you said, Lauren, it also wouldn't shock me if Seattle just boat raced them the way they did San Francisco, because that was an all-time dominant performance on Saturday night. But it just sucks we're not going to see it. Like, it really feels like the Bears should be in that game next week. And it's hard not to, it's an incredible season, but it ends on such a bitter taste. But I don't know. How do you feel, Lauren? Because I feel like they could have given them a game last week or next week.
Yeah, I've learned at this point that, like, the Bears can hang with anybody, and whether Seattle would be up 21-3 at halftime or it's tied 10-10 at halftime, we know exactly what the end of the fourth quarter is going to look like in that game. So I wouldn't be able to sit here and say confidently, like, oh, the Bears are going to beat the Seahawks.
Yeah.
But I would sit here confidently saying they're going to be right in it with the Seahawks. Like, this doesn't seem like a Bears team that's in a position to get drubbed by anybody. Like, not that they're just some great Bears team that's unstoppable, but just that, like, they're good enough. Like, even in the games where it feels like they're getting drubbed, like in the first half against the Packers and in the first half against the San Francisco 49ers a little bit too, like, they always find a way to turn it around and hold on and climb back into the game. So I think even if they started slow against Seattle, they would be right back in it. So I think it would have been another one of these, like, game for the ages type of moments, and then probably ends similarly to how this Rams game ended up ending, right? Where you need one more miracle at the end, and it's just, you can only live off of these for so long to get you in the game. I will say one other thing to wrap up. Chase Daniel on Twitter posted the All-22 film of the DJ Moore play at the end, the interception. It's bad. It's really bad. DJ Moore screwed Caleb Williams on that play pretty badly. That one's rough.
Yeah, they showed it real fast right when they came back from break, I think, after the interception, and you could see it. But I think they might even been kind of playing it in slow-mo. If you watch it full speed, like you said, I'm going to go look at it right after the show. But
you got like Adunze's going vertical to clear out, and DJ Moore's cutting under it, but instead of going horizontal and parallel to line of scrimmage, he starts drifting upfield, and Caleb throws it parallel. So he's drifting and not running full speed, and it's just like, oh man, that ball's like perfect concept. It's supposed to work if the receiver, like, Caleb threw it where he's supposed to, or close enough to where he's supposed to. Receivers running the right route, it's a completion, or at least it's not an interception. It's like, man, that's the more you watch it, the more mad you get. I was like scrolling through it briefly in the background here. It's tough.
Well, and there's the other one too, where they pointed on the broadcast where it looked like Loveland had an option route and he cuts it in and it leads to an interception where it feels like I think a lot of focus is going to be put on Caleb in the moment today and throughout this season. And I think as we get into the offseason, as we look back at some more of these games, we're going to see like it's not just what does year 2 look like for Caleb, it's what does year 2 look like for everybody. Because not that to excuse DJ Moore, but maybe to excuse Colson Loveland here and Burden and Rome throughout this season of things they've misdiagnosed when they're facing zone or man. It still feels like not everyone's on the same page with this offense. And it feels like that ultimately kind of bit the Bears at the end here. Adam, is there anything else from this game or at the season as we wrap up here you want to hit on?
I mean, I just think overall, I mean, coming into the season, and let's think back to week 2, Detroit Lions just beat the crap out of them, and we're on this show just being like, well, I don't know. this is going to be a long season, guys, doing these shows. And, look where we're at now, losing in the division round in overtime by 3 to the Rams, who, if you would have said the Bears are in the division round playing the Rams, you're like, oh, crap, they're going to get their butts kicked. And they hung in there. The defense showed up, played great, and the offense just couldn't do enough as a whole unit. And I don't want to say that's a good thing, but it's just like everybody had a hand in it. And I say, so I don't think there's, Caleb just came out and just played awful. And it was, it just felt like the moment was too big. We know that, dude, the moment is never too big moving forward. And we know you have a quarterback in Chicago that he's going to be in the discussion as one of the best in the league here in a few years as he starts to clean things up. And the best thing is his offensive coordinator isn't going anywhere because he's the head coach. So, I mean, it's the first time ever where a Bears fan can say, we have an offensive head coach and a quarterback, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
And to that point, right, like I think there's going to be a lot of talk this offseason about regression, right? And, the Bears won all these one-score games, and so they can't possibly repeat this again next season. And it's true, they're not going to be able to keep winning games like this every single year. But I do think we look at this Bears offense and say they are still going to get a lot better, right? This is not a team that is maxing out everything at 11 out of 10 on the dial, and like this was their best punch, and they did everything perfectly in order to win these one-score games, right? Like this was them reaching above and beyond what they were ever capable of. Like in some ways, like I don't want to say they underachieved because they didn't underachieve in terms of expectations, but like they did not play a level Bears football very much this season, right? I mean, like how often was this team firing on all cylinders, like a quarter at a time and a couple of 2-minute drives, like every couple of games? But like this team can get so much better than we saw this season. And that's why, like, I mean, I don't think they're going to jump up and be a 14-win team next season necessarily, but I'm also pretty confident they're not going to jump down to be a 7-win team next season. Like the total win number, I'm not as interested in like trying to predict like they go from 12 to 10 or whatever, but like I think they're not going to have as much luck in some of those situations, but they're going to play better and just not be in as many of those situations. Like they won't have as many 1-score wins. They'll have more 2-score wins, right? Like and fewer 1-score wins and maybe some more losses too here and there, but also like fewer of those like last minute because they're just going to be a more well-rounded team that's more advanced in Ben Johnson's offense, and everyone's a year older, a year more experienced, and in theory you get a little better in a couple of positions this offseason as well.
You guys give this season anything but an A plus? Lauren, anything lower than that for you? Or, I mean, because it feels like to me, it's like, how do you grade them anything lower in the moment about how the season went? It feels like an A plus season, even though it doesn't end in the NFC Championship game or Super Bowl.
Yeah, the results of the season are an A. Like we can say at the same time, they didn't play A football a ton all season, but they got A results. Like they didn't, if you look at how they showed their work on the test, you're like, wait a minute, that math doesn't seem like it adds up, but they got the right answer a bunch of times. So that still counts. This is an A season for sure.
Yeah, it's like a C+ defense with kind of a B minus offense somehow turned into an A season. And it's just the way things worked out this year. And you hope that they can continue to build off of it, continue to build. I mean, to me, the most important thing is that pass rush. You got to get somebody or multiple guys that can get after the quarterback consistently, because that's what helps you win. I mean, look what New England's done. I know they don't have those guys right now, but even just getting after the quarterback, they've been so good in the playoffs. So I think that's the big key, because that allows those back end players that are pretty good as a unit to be even better, I think, in my opinion. So future's bright, and I'm looking forward to the offseason to see how they fix it. And Ryan Poles, you're still not quite done. You still got a little bit more to do to get this team to a Super Bowl.
Since you mentioned the Patriots, just real quick hypothetical for you. If the Bears sign Milton Williams instead of Grady Jarrett, are they in the NFC Championship game right now?
Probably.
I think they might be.
And you probably don't sign a Dangbo either, and probably just go for more of just maybe a true pass rusher in that spot. And, you know, it could be completely different because, Milton Williams is really, really, really good.
They got crushed for that signing when it happened too. Yeah. People were like, "Who's this guy?" And then he's been awesome for the Patriots. All right.
And everyone loved the Bears signing Grady Jarrett. Like that was one of the, I don't know if it was steal. Yeah. People were like, "Wow, what a get for Chicago, a veteran leader on their defensive line." He's been a good leader, but that's about it.
Not a good player, honestly. Like a couple moments every here or there. A pass deflection tonight, like not a missed tackle, but like it didn't kill them in the end. But we got a lot to talk about all off season long, and we'll be here. We'll be doing 2 squad shows a week. Myself, Adam, Lauren, Taylor, some combination. We'll be here with you guys on Tuesday. By then, we should have probably a better idea what the offseason schedule is going to be looking like. We'll be talking draft, free agency, reflecting on the season, looking ahead to 2026. And unfortunately, we'll probably be talking about the state of Indiana versus the state of Illinois as well throughout the offseason. So we'll be into all that stuff. So make sure you hit that subscribe button right here on the Locked On Bears YouTube channel, audio channels. Thank you all for listening, watching all season long. We will talk to you Tuesday night. Peace.